when we hear the term pirates, two possibilities linger in our mind. While one is of stardom, the other is of the aggressiveness fueled by poverty and helplessness. In this video, we are talking about the infamous Somalian pirates that have made headlines around the world towards the end of the last decade. We will analyze how they rose to power, how they operated, and why we don't hear much about them anymore. We will also understand how effective the Indian Navy's operations were in this regard. Somalia, also known as the Horn of Africa, is the country with the longest coastline in Africa at around 3,300 kilometers in length. Less than 2% of Somalia's land is arable, and so, the main mode of livelihood for the Somalian people for generations was fishing. However, due to the ongoing civil war that has lasted over 2 decades, Somalia neither has an army nor a stable government. Due to the absence of a naval force to protect the country's coastlines and fisheries, foreign trawlers regularly plied across the Somalian coast. It was estimated that around $300 million worth of fish has been stolen by foreign trawlers off the coast of Somalia. Furthermore, several European countries dumped industrial effluents containing uranium, lead and mercury into the Somalian waters. All these foreign activities had dire consequences for the Somalian population. Not only did they lose their livelihoods, but also had to deal with the rampant spread of morbid illnesses. Realizing that their very existence was under threat, the Somalians decided to turn on the foreign powers who exploited them. Realizing that they lacked the ammunition to chase the invaders away, the Somalian fishermen began approaching the local militia chiefs involved in the civil war. With these newly acquired weapons, Somalians began to drive the foreigners away while also keeping the stolen catch for themselves. This was the beginning of the Somalian piracy era. Gradually, the militia chiefs began to disregard the smaller fishing trawlers, and instead focused their attention on making huge profits by targeting oil tankers and container ships. Several months of preparation went into each piracy operation. The money, weapons and training required for these operations were funded by the Somalian militia leaders and their associates from across Yemen. The youth of Somalia, who were suffering from extreme poverty and unemployment, did not have to think twice about joining the pirate gangs. The huge tankers carrying petroleum from the Middle East, as well as the container ships heading to Europe through the Suez Canal, all had to pass through the Somalian waters. The pirates begin their operation once they've spotted a suitable vessel. Those in charge of the piracy operation would use radio sets, and listen into the frequencies used by the ships to target them. At first glance, these Somalian pirates would appear to be regular fishermen. Upon finding a suitable ship, they would follow them for hundreds of kilometers, and observe them. At the right moment, pirates from the gang with arms training will begin to board the vessel. Upon boarding the ship, they would take the crew hostage, and destroy all communication systems. Next, they would move the vessel and its crew to a port under their control, and wait for the ransom negotiations to begin. On average, a single oil tanker holds $150 million worth of oil. Selling the oil for money is one strategy that the pirates have adopted. However, soon they realized that the ransom they got in exchange for the captured ship and her crew is a much better deal. On average, it was $2.5 million. Once the ransom is secured, the next step was to divide the bounty amongst the various parties involved. 10% of the bounty went to the port, which allowed them to anchor the ship. 30% of the bounty would go to the Somalian militia chiefs and their partners in Yemen. The remaining 60% belonged to the pirates who risked their lives to hijack the ship. Each member would usually receive at least $30,000. An average Somalian earned a mere $300 then, and compared to that, this amount was a huge sum. This gave them celebrity status akin to that of sports or movie stars. As a result, more and more youth of Somalia, who got pulled in by this money and fame, turned to piracy. This forced the gangs to look far beyond the shores of Somalia. At one point, they had even turned their attention to the shores of Middle East, to the Indian waters, and even to the Malacca Strait. One of the methods to escape the pirates was to outrun them. Usually, a cargo ship sailed at 13 nautical miles. At this speed, it is easy for the pirates to board the ship. If the ship increased its speed to 18 nautical miles, it would be challenging for the pirates to board. However, increase in speed would cost over $90,000 a day. A second method was to employ military professionals to guard the ship. The Somalian pirates neither possessed, nor were trained to use modern weapons, and therefore either of these two methods would have worked well. However, most ship companies were unwilling to adopt either of these methods due to the huge costs involved. Only 5 attacks were reported in 2005. By 2011, the numbers shot up to 160. This was when Somalian pirates caught the world's attention, and most countries showed their willingness to send their navy to the Somalian waters. In the beginning, navies from different countries ran their own operations trying to protect cargo ships that belonged to their country alone. This exercise was very unsuccessful. Soon, a task force named Operation Ocean Shield, comprising of the different navies, was formed to tackle piracy. A total of 30 countries took part in this operation. Among the 5 Indian warships that participated, INS Tabor received wide international acclaim. In November 2008, MV Timaha, a Saudi cargo ship, sent a distress call asking for assistance while sailing through the Gulf of Aden. INS Tabor responded by sending an attack helicopter and thwarted the pirates. Within 30 minutes, Jagarnav, an Indian cargo ship which was at a distance of 50 kilometers from the INS Tabor, was also attacked. A Chetak helicopter carrying Marcos commandos was sent there immediately. After a brief skirmish, the team thwarted this hijack attempt also. The following week, INS Tabor also sunk a Somalian mothership. Indian Navy's efforts were hailed by world leaders including the then UN Secretary-General, Ban Ki-moon. In the following years, the joint effort by different navies helped to reduce the threat from Somalian pirates considerably. Only 2 attacks were reported in 2018. However, the best solution to this problem is certainly to help Somalian people find an alternate means of livelihood. Somalian people first took up arms to save themselves from the external forces who plundered their natural resources. Now, other nations around the world are helping them with millions of dollars in aid for better infrastructure development. Let us all hope that Somalia will be able to sustain itself and grow as a nation in the years to come.